Code 3. A live podcast sponsored by the Marin Fire History Group. All about the history of the fire service in Marin County, California. And now your host, retired Fire Chief Bill Lellis.
Good afternoon and good day, and welcome to the Marin County Fire Chief's historical website. Today we're going to be talking about the history of the San Rafael Fire Commission, which was developed on the day when the city was incorporated in the charter in 1874. So in a few years it will be celebrating 150 years of service to the community. And with us to help explain the histories and duties and responsibilities of a fire commission and the commissioners is Doctor Stephen Mizroch, a former commissioner, and been with the board since 1991.
1992.
92,
yeah.
Corrected, okay. Tell us about the role of the fire commission as it relates to fire safety in the city of San Rafael.
Okay. The fire commission is a group of 5 people with 1 or 2 alternates, so up to 7 people that are appointed by city council to serve on the fire commission. The fire commission itself is constituted to be an aid to the fire chief and to the department. So in the old days, going back to the mid-70s or early 70s, the fire commission was actually very powerful. The fire commission hired the chief, set the budgets, decided on equipment and expenditures. That's the old days. But starting in, I think, the late 1970s, it became what we considered an advisory committee to advise the chief and recommend and advise. So it's not very powerful, except by its example, I would say, and it's a huge supporter of the fire department. So I joined in 1992. You had terms of 4 years, and you had to get reappointed by city council. And then about 10 years ago, they put in a term limit, which is one of the reasons I got off the fire commission. I served my 2 term limits under that new rule, and then went off in March of 2022.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I was chairman after Chuck Daniels. Chuck was the chairman for about 8 or 9 years after I joined, and then he passed away. I became chairman and did that until 2022.
Yeah, okay. For you historians out there, a gentleman by the name of Chuck Daniels, Chuck was probably really one of the first fire investigators.
Yes.
In the county, and I learned a lot from Chuck when I wanted to become an investigator, and worked and dug through a lot of ashes with Chuck. He was a good man. Chuck was also involved in a murder case that when the guy came out of prison, shot the attorney and was looking to shoot Jeff, and the female attorney that convicted him. So
yeah.
There's some history there. So
Arson investigator. Yes, he had a long history of doing that.
If you're familiar with the name Chuck Daniels, he was quite a guy here in the county. So now you're established, and so you just still advise the chief.
Well, I'm still close with the chief.
Right.
I've met about 4 chiefs since I started in the fire commission. Chief Marcucci was chief when I joined, and then after Chief Marcucci was Bruce Martin for about 2 years, then John Montanero for about a year, maybe 2, and John recruited Chris Gray to be chief. Chris was chief for 12 years.
Okay.
And so Chris retired in about January 2020. Good timing, by the way,
right.
For COVID. And Chief White came on a couple months after that.
Yeah, Chief White.
And Deputy Chief Sennett was interim chief between Chris and Chief White.
Yeah, Chief was
Bob former was chief of Lawrenceburg.
He was my building inspector, fire marshal.
Yeah.
And so we, as we say, life is a block long.
Yeah. But now on the fire commission, Larry Luckham is the chairman. Nadine Haid is the deputy chair. Then Dave Funkelsrud, Stan Burford, Ken Johnson, I said Stern Burford, Tom Weathers, and let's see, did I miss anybody? Donna McCusker. So 5 members and 2 alternates, okay. And they meet every month and with the chief. Okay. It's on Zoom now because of COVID. Okay. So since the COVID shutdown, we were on Zoom for 2 years,
okay.
Basically, which was sad because one of the joys of being on the fire commission is getting to know the other fire commissioners and the chief, going into the department. What we did was we alternated meetings at headquarters one month and then at a fire station the next month.
Okay.
So over the year, we'd visit most of the fire stations, chat with the firefighters at that station. There's 7 in San Rafael. And so you missed out on that during COVID.
Yeah.
It just wasn't safe.
Do you have a budget?
The fire commission does not have a budget. It has no money. It has no power. Its power is by example and by conversation.
Okay.
So we try to be leaders in support of the fire department, but it's not a powerful committee. It's a heartfelt committee.
Is it part of the city charter?
Excuse me?
Is it part of the city charter?
Oh, yeah, the fire commission is in with all the commissions.
Yeah, okay.
Planning commission,
Okay.
bicycle commission, parks commission, all the commissions
Okay.
have specifically appointed by city council, and you have to go for the interviews, and they appoint people.
Okay.
And Eli Hill, who's now on city council, was a former member of the fire commission. Len Thompson, who is a former deputy chief in Los Angeles, was a member of the fire commission, and he helped us, and it was his idea, of course, to start the Fire Foundation,
Okay.
which is actually a 501(c) nonprofit that raises money to support the fire department.
Okay.
He saw it in Los Angeles where they did it. It was very, very successful. He brought it to San Rafael. The fire commission and the Chief Gray, supported putting it together. Tom Weathers was a lawyer who helped us with the legal paperwork,
Right.
and it's been up and running for about 4 or 5 years, maybe a little longer. Jack Devlin was the first chairman, and now Len Thompson is the chairman of the Fire Foundation.
And their goal, the foundation's goal, is to assist the firemen.
Economically.
Excellent.
So what the Fire Foundation has done is raise money, and we've been very successful. From some major donors and small donors. We had a crab feed each December for several years. That was very successful and raised about $25,000 to $30,000 each crab feed.
Wow.
And then we had fundraising outreach and such. We actually bought the fireboat for the fire department from the Fire Foundation. It was a small, like, Zodiac type thing. And then we sold that to Berkeley and bought a bigger fireboat, which they have now, which is very special.
Yeah.
It was very expensive, and the Fire Foundation bought that and gave it to the city. Now, the city has an obligation to the fire department to fund fire engines and equipment and salaries and benefits and all that. But there are places where the city doesn't have the resources to do things that would be helpful for the fire department. And where the city and the fire department have a gap that needs filling, the Fire Foundation is that gap filler. So we've done that. We've had several programs like that.
Are there representatives of the firemen themselves on the foundation?
They're welcome to come to the foundation, but there aren't actually members. We have about 7 or 8 members now. Jack Devlin, Len Thompson, Pat Kendall, myself, Jeff Kramer, John Chu, Donna McCusker. I think that's everyone.
Okay.
And we meet every month also.
And how do you become a member?
You request to join.
Oh, okay.
And you have to be an upstanding citizen.
Okay.
We pick you or say yes. But we really want people who care about the fire department.
Right.
I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And so.
But
I mean,
a fireboat that's a pretty big
it's a very cool thing. I mean, in some ways we feel more powerful than the Fire Commission because we actually raise money and spend it and do stuff.
You can say
The Fire Commission is important psychologically, I think. It's a bridge between the city and the fire department.
Okay.
So we're all citizens of San Rafael.
Right.
We have to be
Yes,
on the
right.
commission. Really, to be on the Fire Foundation, you don't have to be a city resident, but everyone is at this point. I think they're both important, but in different ways. And in some ways, the foundation has allowed us to do more stuff.
Right.
We recently had a boot program where we're helping support firefighters getting healthy, safe boots. The city gives them a very small stipend.
Yeah.
We've augmented that
Right.
with donations that we've given them. So that's a brand new program that just came
That's
off the
very
ground.
nice, yeah.
It's very cool.
I mean, it's being an ex-fire chief and looking back when I hear things now where turnouts have to be replaced every 5 years, helmets and all. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely incredible what that industry has done to create money. So what is the foundation in the process of trying to pursue something, buy something now for the department? Or?
Well, we've got several projects in the works. We provided new camouflage work shirts with the Fire Foundation logo and the Fire Department logo for the firefighters to use on Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
They wear they're on-duty shirts. Chief White supported
Okay.
it, so we just funded that program to buy shirts for everybody in the department, for all the firefighters.
Right.
Okay, the boot program I mentioned. The third thing is actually equipment for the rescue swimmers off the fireboat.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a program the city couldn't fund or didn't fund, so we're going to fund that too.
Oh,
Those are three new things just this year.
That's
So we're
wonderful.
very active.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe after this interview, maybe there's some of the other fire departments, the county and stuff like that.
Yeah,
create a
yeah. If you want to
foundation.
know about what we're doing, Len Thompson is our chairman, Jack Devlin is our treasurer, and would love to have donations. And we have a fundraiser. We'll be sending out letters in the next month or two.
And if anyone wanted to contribute, do you tell them where the...
San Rafael Fire Foundation, I've got the addresses on the internet. We have a website.
Okay.
So San Rafael Fire Foundation, Len Thompson, chair, Jack Devlin, treasurer. Go to the website. It's got about what we're doing, some of the things we've done recently, and we'd love to have you support the fire department.
We'll make sure we get that on. That's good.
In fact, in the past, we have sometimes given out for a nice donation these challenge coins of San Rafael with the fireboat on the back side. So Bill, I'm going to give you one of these.
Oh, thank
Paul,
you.
I'm going to give you one of these.
Thank you.
And
That's
just
nice.
so you have a memento of the Fire Foundation, we did this as a fundraising effort for the Fire Department Foundation, and it's kind of a fun thing.
That is.
We would like to take this time and this moment to thank Dr. Stephen Mizroch for his participation in the history of the San Rafael Fire Commission, which started in 1874, and is to his credit that people like him carry on this fine tradition of serving the community of San Rafael and its fire service. So again, we'd like to thank you, Doctor, for your activities today, and we wish you well, and thank you so much for participating in this filming. Thank you again.